Okay, right. Well, I guess everyone is here and we can get started with our session. So before we do, a quick formal introduction on my end, guys. My name is Mohammed Shoaib. I'm a cybersecurity trainer certified from EC Council. EC Council is the leading organization in cybersecurity certification programs. Okay. And our demo today is on certified ethical hacking version 11. Okay. We have taken a similar demo yesterday as well. So if you have already joined yesterday's session, well and good, you can skip this as well. If not, if you're completely new, let's get started with it. Okay, so before we dive into the demo further ahead, there's a common misconception among students. Okay, they confuse the terms hacking and ethical hacking. So if you go out and you tell people that you perform hacking, they would judge you definitely. Okay, they would say that is actually wrong. Okay, and if they tell you, if you start telling them that you perform ethical hacking, they would still think that you're still performing something illegal. Okay, but when we talk about ethical hacking, this is something which is completely legal and allowed. So let's try to understand the main difference between hacking and ethical hacking. Okay. So firstly, if I had to define hacking out, this is the procedure of trying to gain access to information systems. Now, these information systems could be anything. They could be as small as a mobile phone to as big as a web application server or a database or cloud organization. Okay. Now, gaining access to these devices is done without the permission or without the consent of the person owning those systems or the organization owning those systems. Okay. So once hackers try to perform hacking, what they're basically trying to do over there is they're trying to get remote connection to the target systems. Okay. And this is usually performed by hackers for their own benefit. So once they get access to the system, they can steal the data, destroy that data, or even sell that data to other third-party vendors. Now, hacking, again, as I've mentioned, hacking seems to be such a malicious task. Okay, one second. Oh, there's a message from DURGASOFT. Okay, anyways, coming back to this, so as I was mentioning, when we talk about hacking, this seems to be a malicious job. Okay, hackers perform hacking to cause harm to other people. Now, when we talk about ethical hacking, on the other hand, this is the procedure of trying to find vulnerabilities. Okay, now this term called vulnerability is something that you'll keep on coming across as we progress with the course. Okay, vulnerability in simple terms is nothing but a weakness. It's a flaw. Okay, this flaw is available or comes with operating systems or applications. Okay, and due to these flaws only, hackers try to exploit the systems and get access to them. So your job as an ethical hacker is to find these flaws, is to find these loopholes in the systems or the infrastructure of the organization so that you know where the weakness lies. Okay, once these vulnerabilities are found with the consent of the organization, you report it back to them. And once it is reported, the necessary patch is applied to it. And when you apply the patch, the vulnerability is disclosed and it is prevented from causing any further harm. Okay, so if I had to define ethical hacking, this is the procedure of finding vulnerabilities or loopholes in information system with the consent and with the permission of the organization. Once you find a vulnerability, you report it back, you disclose that to the organization, and they apply the necessary or appropriate patch for it. And once a patch is applied, that prevents the vulnerability from causing any further harm. So you're trying to increase the security over here of the infrastructure rather than causing any harm to the organization. Okay, so ethical hacking is very necessary and it needs to be performed on every organization. Okay, and ethical hacking is more importantly a white collar job. You're not performing anything. You're not performing a crime. You're not taking or uptaking any illegal activities. Okay, such as hacking. Okay, you're trying to increase the security of the organization. So this is the main difference between hacking and ethical hacking. Okay, just to clear out any misconceptions. Okay, again, one more thing to add, guys. If you have any questions or if you have any queries, please feel free to let me know about it. Okay, you can raise your hand or you can interrupt me at any certain point. No issue at all. Okay, please clarify as we progress. Okay, if you have a doubt, please do let me know. Okay, now coming to the next slide, depending on these two definitions, let's try to clarify or understand what are the types of hackers that we have. Okay, so depending on these two definitions, we can categorize hackers into three basic types. There's someone known as a black hat hacker, then a gray hat hacker, and then a white hat hacker. A black hat hacker, in simple terms, is also called as a criminal, cyber criminal. Okay, someone who performs hacking for his own benefit or just for fun without asking for consent. And now on the other end of the spectrum, we have someone known as a white hat hacker. White hat hackers are also called as ethical hackers or cybersecurity professionals or penetration testers. These are the people who abide by the laws and policies of the organization. They work hand in hand with the organization and they try to increase the security of it. Okay. Now in between, there's another third category as well called gray hat hackers. These are the people who don't ask for permission. Okay, like a black hat hacker, they have the qualities of black hat as well as white hat hackers. So like a black hat hacker, they don't ask for permission before performing hacking. But like a white hat hacker, once they find a vulnerability, they report it back. But there is a minor catch over here. The catch is that they don't do this for free. They do it for in return for something called as a bounty. A bounty is something which benefits the hacker for finding and disclosing that vulnerability. Okay, it could be a money reward or it could be a mention about of their name or their ID in the Hall of Fame. Okay, like kind of like a reputational reward, anything which benefits their career. Okay, so in return for this bounty, they find vulnerabilities for the organization and they report it back to them. Now, no matter what kind of a hacker you take, whether it be a black hat hacker or a gray hat hacker or a white hat hacker, they perform hacking or ethical hacking in a certain number of steps. Okay, they follow a systematic procedure, okay, to get access to these devices, and collectively those steps are called as hacking cycle or cyber kill chain. So in organizations as well, whenever you're performing penetration testing, whenever you're performing ethical hacking, okay, you perform the same number of steps. Okay, and these steps are called cyber kill chain. Okay, now let me list these steps out one by one, and again, as we progress, we're going to be discussing about them briefly. Okay, so the first step in hacking cycle or cyber kill chain is called as information gathering. Some organizations even refer to it as reconnaissance or footprinting. Second step is known as scanning. It can also be called as enumeration. Third step is gaining access. Fourth step is maintaining access. And the last step is reporting or clearing traces. Now, the reason why I've specifically mentioned OR over here is because this is where it makes all the difference between a white hat hacker and a black hat hacker. If you are a white hat hacker, you perform the first 4 steps in the same systematic order, and then you try to report all the vulnerabilities that you have found to the organization. Okay, so your job is to find the vulnerabilities through these first 4 steps and report it back to the organization so that they can apply the patch for it. If you're a black hat hacker, definitely, obviously, you're not going to be reporting it, but you'll try to remove all the evidences. So whatever attacks you perform, that might leave out some evidence or footprints. So your job, last job as a black hat hacker, is to remove all those evidences, delete all the log files. Okay, so that is known as clearing traces. And we are going to be learning both the techniques. Okay, we will learn a hacker's perspective as well as an ethical hacker's perspective throughout the course. Okay, any questions around up to this part, guys, before I progress further into these steps? Sai Kumar, Samir, Swati, Vikas,
It's clear, sir.
Grishma. Right, thanks. Now let's go with the first step, guys, is information gathering. So again, as the name itself suggests, information gathering is nothing but trying to gather as much data as possible about your target organization. Now, in a real-time scenario, whenever if you take an example of a thief as well, when he wants to break into someone's house, he needs to do some proper research on it. Okay, what are the entry points for that house? What is the proper time to attack at that house? If there's how many number of people are staying at that house? So that kind of information is very important. Okay, so he needs to find all the attack vectors. Similarly, when you're trying to attack a device or an organization as well, you need to gather some certain amounts of information about it. Okay? And you need to gather it in such a way that the target has no clue about it. You need to gather it in a passive manner. Passive in the sense, whatever information you gather it from third-party sources. You don't directly contact the organization for it. Okay. Now the main question over here lies is what kind of information are we talking about over here when we talk about hacking a target organization? Now, this is the information as follows. Okay, so you try to gather information such as the IP addresses or the range of IP addresses used by a target organization. Then the who is information. Who is information in the sense when the website was first hosted, when was it last updated, when will it expire, who is hosting that website, all that comes under the who is records. Okay, then comes the DNS records. Every organization has their DNS servers, and those DNS servers hold some crucial information. So we need to understand what the DNS servers of certain organizations hold. Then the employee details, such as the contact numbers, email addresses, or publicly leaked or online leaked usernames and passwords, and so on. then the domain names and the subdomains of the organization, and finally the operating system information, what OSs are they using on their servers. Okay, now all this information, believe it or not, is actually available on the internet to be gathered. Okay, and you can take any organization for example. Okay, so if I show you an example, a pretty simple example, if I wanted the DNS records for any certain company, all I have to do is go to the browser and search for a website called DNS Dumpster. Now again, a very popular website actually in the cybersecurity domain. Okay. Oh, I guess any issues with the audio, guys? I can see people leaving and joining back again the same session with the same names. Any issues with the audio or the video, guys, of mine?
Sir, you changing any screen, sir? Because it is only visible what is hacking and what is ethical hacking.
Whoa. No, I have come far ahead. I've gone to the next presentation as well, guys. Is the screen not changing?
Yeah, yes, sir. But it's showing me only what is hacking and what is ethical hacking.
For everyone, is it the same, guys?
No, for me it's
This
good.
it's good, right? Because
No, sir.
I've changed a lot of. Okay, I've changed a lot of slides, Nagaraj. Could you try to like join back again? Maybe there's some connection issue.
Yeah.
Sure thing. Okay, I hope it is. I hope the slides are changing. I hope you can see my browser right now, everyone. Okay, right. Now coming back to this website, guys, as I was mentioning, there's DNS Dumpster. Again, this is a tool which is capable of fetching the DNS records for any certain organization. Okay, now the DNS records are actually scattered all around the internet. This website does a job of collecting all of them and storing them in one singular place. Okay, now you can search for any organization over here. If I take the example of, let's say Tesla at the moment, tesla.com, and if I click on search, this gives me first the information about where Tesla's servers are actually located. So it gives us the geolocation of Tesla's servers. Then scroll down, it tells us how many DNS servers is Tesla using. So there's one primary DNS server, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 secondary DNS servers. Okay. And these IP addresses are quite crucial for a hacker or an ethical hacker to perform the further steps, okay, which are scanning and gaining access. So the more IP addresses you gather, the more possible attack vectors you find, the more devices you know that you can attack on. Okay, so there's 7 DNS servers in total for Tesla.com. Scroll down much further, it shows that Tesla is using Outlook.com for their mail, and this is the exact IP address of the server through which all the emails for Tesla are being routed. Okay, scroll down much further, you can see the host records. Host record in the sense, whatever domains or subdomains of Tesla exist, these are the exact IP addresses for those servers hosting that domain or the subdomain. Okay, so these are all the devices that are actually connected to Tesla's organization for their separate subdomains. And scroll down finally much more further. This gives a complete network topology of Tesla's organization, how each server is connected to one another, okay, and what all servers exist, and mail servers, DNS servers, host servers for each and every subdomain. Okay, and sometimes it also gives you information like what operating system are they using. As you can see over here, oh, yes, over here they have not mentioned, but we have other sources for that. Okay, another example, if I show you, there's a website called hunter.io. Okay, this is a website which is capable of fetching all the email addresses of any certain organization. Okay, so at the moment I've not logged in into this. I guess let me just click on dashboard and check if I'm logged in. Yeah, I'm not logged in at the moment, but during our sessions I'll show you how to create an account in this as well. And if you search for a domain, let's say again wipro.com, and if you click on go, this starts finding all the email addresses of the actual employees of Wipro which got leaked. Okay, at the moment it's hidden because I've not created my account in this. I have not logged in with my account, but in our sessions I'll show you how to log in, how to create an account in this, and then access this information. Gives you the exact information of the employees of Wipro. Okay, at the moment the information is hidden out, guys, because I've not accessed my account. Okay, but anyways, there's such sources on the internet, data sources or gold mines, you could say, from where we can get all this information actually. Okay, now once you gather all this information, once you know that these are the possible methods or possible ways through which you can get or access the list of devices, then we go to the next phase, which is scanning. Now this is a very crucial phase. Okay, and this involves active connections. Okay, So whatever we did earlier was passively. We try to gather information about a certain organization from other third-party sources. We did not contact the organization directly at all. Okay. In scanning, we try to gather some extra information on the devices by making active connections. So we directly send packets to the servers, and from those packets, actually, we get the information what we require. So if you have to categorize scanning, there's three important parts to scanning. First, there's something called as network scanning, then there's port scanning, and then there's vulnerability scanning. Now, firstly, in network scanning, you can try to figure out on the target organization what all devices exist. Okay, so if I have a company like Wipro.com, in my Wipro.com organization, I might have multiple devices. I can have a DNS server, I can have a DHCP server, I can have an FTP server, I can have a SMTP server, okay, mail server. Okay, there's multiple different devices. I can have firewalls, I can have intrusion detection systems, intrusion prevention systems, I can have multiple routers, switches, whatnot. So with network scanning, I get a complete idea of what all existing peripherals are there in that organization. Okay, what all devices exist. And then once you have a clear picture of the whole network, then you perform the port scanning, trying to figure out on each of those devices or servers what ports are open. Okay, so every device has something called as logical ports on which multiple services run. Okay, so you need to figure out on those devices what services are running and what ports are open. Once you know that information, then finally you perform vulnerability scanning. Okay, on those ports and on those services, you try to check out if there is any vulnerable service, any service which has an existing weakness to attack on. Okay, so it's a step-by-step procedure. First, you know what the devices are to attack on. On those devices, you check what ports are available. On those ports, you try to attack on the vulnerable services. Okay. Now, let me show you a tool which I'll be using for the scanning. Again, a very important tool which is used in real-time scenarios, enable lessons. So this is the same tool that we're using, guys, in our sessions as well. And this is quite an expensive tool, actually. If I scroll down and if I click on buy, you can see it's around $4,000. And that was just a 1-year subscription. Again, you have to pay $4,000 on a yearly basis. Okay, so this is quite an advanced tool, actually. Let me show you the tool that is installed on my interface. It runs on the port 8834 by default. Again, don't worry, guys. Don't worry what this local host is. 8834 is if you're from a non-technical background. I'll explain all this in our sessions. Okay. But what I'm trying to show you is I'm working on the same real-time tool actually. So we'll be using the same NSS tool to understand how to perform this network scanning, port scanning, and vulnerability scanning. Let me log into my portal. Yes. So basically, this is how your NSS tool looks like, guys. You have multiple scan techniques, as you can see, templates, network scan, port scan, advanced dynamic scan, or malware scan. So this is used to figure out on the target organization on each and every device what vulnerabilities exist. Okay. Once you know the list of vulnerabilities, once you perform a scan, this is how the vulnerabilities are categorized. Okay. There are 5 impact levels. Okay. There are information-based vulnerabilities. There are low-based vulnerabilities, medium, high, and critical vulnerabilities. In an organization, there should never be critical, high, or medium vulnerabilities. If such vulnerabilities exist, it's high risk that that organization can easily face a cyber threat attack. Okay, so we need to understand in our organization how to perform this scanning and how to figure out if any of the system contains these vulnerabilities. Once you know that such a vulnerability exists, you need to understand what that vulnerability is and how do you remove that vulnerability, what the solution is. Okay, so this is all automated, guys. Okay, so we run automated scanning tools. We'll figure out what how to perform testing on these devices. Okay, once we get a report from this, then we go with manual testing. So all this is automated first. You perform automated scanning. Once you get a result, then you go with the next phase, which is gaining access. So in gaining access, you manually verify each and every vulnerability and try to attack on those vulnerabilities. Okay, you're checking if actually the tool is giving correct results or if there are any false positive results. Okay, so again, coming back to this, guys, I hope my screen is updating. I hope you can see the slides moving. Any issue with the audio or the video, guys? Akshay, Grishma, Rajesh, Kalyankar, Sai Kumar, Samir, Swati, Vikas.
It's good for me, sir.
Perfect. Right. Oh, sorry for that. Oh, Yeah, coming back to the slide, gaining access, guys, as I've mentioned. Now, this is the next phase. And when we talk about gaining access, it's actually a huge concept, covers a vast variety of topics. Let me list them out first. Yeah. So the first topic that we'll be covering in gaining access is system hacking. Now, in gaining access, it's a very comprehensive topic, guys. We'll be covering all the endpoints. We'll cover Windows and Linux systems. We'll cover networking devices. We'll cover wireless devices. We'll cover websites. We'll cover databases. And we'll cover mobile applications or mobile phones as well. So let me give out the same list again. First, we go with system hacking. In system hacking, we try to understand how to crack or bypass a Windows operating system password. So if you have a Windows system and if it is locked, how do you bypass that password, or how do you try to crack that password and get access to the internal system data? Okay, so that is what we learn in system hacking. So this might help a hacker in cracking a operating system's password, okay, for unknown devices, or it might also help an ethical hacker to bypass his forgotten passwords. Okay, we learn this in both the perspectives. We'll also learn how to protect our system from these hackers' attacks. Okay, so that is again the ethical hackers' perspective, preventing these attacks from happening on our system. Then comes malwares. Malware is nothing but a simple combination of two words called malicious softwares. Okay, now there's a common misconception that only viruses are the only malwares known, but there's tons and tons of malwares, guys. There's viruses, along with them there's worms, trojans, spyware, rootkit, adware, scareware, whatnot. Okay, so we'll practically learn how to create each of these malwares and how to defend our system from these malwares. Along with that, we'll also learn if there is any existing malware on our system, how do we detect that and how do we prevent that from causing further harm? Okay, then there's malwares advanced. This is a bonus concept actually, not included in CH curriculum. Okay, but just for students who have to have a better understanding on the programming of malwares. So you don't need to learn any Python programming or anything, guys. I'll be sharing the resources for that. And if time permits, you can understand how to create or program your own malwares using this. Okay. After that comes network penetration testing. So as I've mentioned, in a local network, there's multiple devices. There's DNS, DHCP, FTP, SNMP, SMTP. So we'll understand how to check for vulnerabilities on each of these servers. Okay. And if there are vulnerabilities, what kind of attacks can you perform? Okay. So there's attacks like sniffing attack, man in the middle attack, denial of service attacks. These attacks are capable of capturing all the user data that is flowing in a network. So whatever usernames or passwords a target system is entering, you can actually capture those. Again, you can view the usernames and passwords, okay, of other systems in the same network. So that is known as sniffing and man-in-the-middle attacks. Then you can perform DOS attacks as well, trying to attack a server and shutting down the service of that server so that it is inaccessible by other people. So DOS attacks are pretty common, and we learn how hackers perform these DOS attacks and how to prevent these DOS attacks as well on servers. Then comes hacking wireless networks, where we learn how we can crack the Wi-Fi passwords. Okay, so if you have a Wi-Fi router at your home or your neighbor's Wi-Fi router, how do you try to crack the password for that Wi-Fi router and check for the vulnerabilities? Then comes social engineering, where we learn how hackers create fake login pages. Okay, so whether it be facebook.com or telegram.com or Gmail or any bank login website as well, how do hackers create an exact replica of these websites and how do they perform phishing attacks? Phishing in the sense, an attacker sends malicious links to the victim machine and makes them believe that these are the genuine links. And when they click on it, if they give out the usernames and passwords, they are actually sending their credentials to the hacker. Okay, so giving out credential information to hackers by using some deception techniques is known as phishing attacks. So we learn what are the different phishing techniques, how do hackers perform these techniques, and how do we protect our system or try to understand or distinguish between a fake page and an original page. Okay, so then comes after that we have web application penetration testing. This involves finding vulnerabilities in websites. So you have multiple websites, and on the front end on websites, you can find a few vulnerabilities as well. To name out a few technical vulnerabilities, there's something called as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, broken authentication, file upload vulnerability, whatnot. So using these vulnerabilities, hackers can actually get access to the backend servers. They can inject scripts. They can perform unwanted actions on the web pages, perform parameter tampering, and get products for free. So we learn how all this is performed. Okay. So during this phase, we're using a very important tool called Burp Suite. Okay. It's a proxy tool, a web proxy tool. Again, won't be going into much details, guys, but this is the leading tool that is used for web application penetration testing. And we will be working on the same burp proxy tool in our classes. Okay, so I'll show you how to install the burp suite tool and how to run this on your system. The pro version, not even the community, the pro, which is actually a paid version. Okay, after that comes vulnerability assessment. So during this phase, we'll actually use a very important tool called Metasploit framework. So if you remember a few minutes ago, I was showing you the vulnerability scanning tool called Nessus. Okay, that gives a report. Now from that report, we need to manually verify each and every vulnerability, and that is known as vulnerability assessment. You are assessing each and every vulnerability, and you're trying to figure out if that vulnerability is actually truly existing or if it is just a false positive result given by the tool. Okay, so that is very important. In simple terms, it's called VAPT, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Trying to attack the system, trying to penetrate into the security of the system by assessing the vulnerability. Okay, so as I've mentioned, we're using something called exploits and payloads to attack target systems and get remote connections. And we'll be using a very important tool called Metasploit framework. Okay, so if I show you that as well, you can go to the browser and search for Metasploit framework. Okay, at the moment it is owned by a company called Rapid7. Okay, so this is actually the tool we'll be using, the world's most used penetration testing framework. Okay, after that, then finally comes hacking mobile phones, where we learn how to test the security on Android phones, how to create malwares for Android phones and remotely connect to those Android phones, okay, by using Trojan attacks. Okay. Now these are a few topics, guys, in gaining access. I've excluded a few as bonus. Okay, I'll show those as well in a bit. Okay, after gaining access, we have maintaining access and reporting. These two are quite smaller and easier topics to understand. So in maintaining access, we learn how do we maintain persistent connections. What I mean by persistent connections is that if you attack the system and if that system restarts or shuts down and starts after a very long time, how do you still maintain a connection with that device? How do you still be able to download the data from that device? Okay, so that is what we learn in maintaining access. After that, we have reporting or clearing traces, where I'll show you how you can generate a report for all the vulnerabilities found from a hacker's perspective. Ethical hacker's perspective, or how do you remove all the evidences from a hacker's perspective? Okay, now again, coming back to the course content, I guess the institute has already shared this with you guys if I'm not wrong, but just in case if they haven't, let me show you. So before we dive into all these advanced concepts, since not everyone might be from a technical background, we have a few prerequisites to cover. So basically, first we learn networking concepts. So we learn what IP addresses are, what are IPv4 addresses, what are IPv6 addresses, then what is DHCP protocol, what is DNS protocol, what is a subnet mask, what is subnetting, what is default gateway. So we learn all these foundational technical concepts required in networking. Okay, so you don't need to learn all that from somewhere else. These are quite necessary concepts, and hence, since they are necessary, we have included them in the course itself. After that, we'll learn a concept called virtualization. So for virtualization, we will be using a tool called VMware. As you can see on my screen, I have this tool called VMware. This tool actually allows you to run multiple operating systems in one single device. So this is the VMware application, guys. And as you can see in this, I have multiple operating systems. I have my Windows 7, I have a Kali OS. Now this Kali operating system is a Linux-based OS, guys. And this is very important for our practicals. Okay, the whole course is practically implemented and we'll be using this operating system a lot. The reason why we will be using this a lot is this comes pre-installed with all the penetration testing tools, with all the hacking and ethical hacking tools for information gathering, for password attack, for Wi-Fi attacks, for sniffing attacks, and so on. So for forensics, okay. So this comes pre-installed. These tools are not available for you in a Windows operating system, and hence it is very important that we know how to use this Linux OS and install this Linux OS. Okay, so for that we'll be using VMware, and with that we'll have our own lab setup which you can practice on 24/7 whenever you want. Okay, so I'll show you how to install this lab setup on your own system. You will have an exact replica of what I have on my system, so that you can simultaneously practice along with me. Okay, and after that is done, we'll then learn the Linux and Windows commands. Again, as I've mentioned, we need to understand how to install Kali and use Kali. So we'll learn the Linux commands as well. And after that, then we dive into the advanced concepts. So there's a few bonus concepts as well, which I've not included in the presentation, guys. There's something known as cryptography, reverse engineering, IoT, Internet of Things, cloud security, and Splunk. Splunk is a very important tool actually. It's a completely different course altogether, but we learn the basics of Splunk. Splunk is a SIM tool, guys, security, incident, and event management tool. Whenever you dive into cybersecurity, you'll always come across these tools, Splunk or SIM tools. Okay, so again, the whole organization, the whole infrastructure of security is divided into two bodies, guys. There's something called as SOC, and then there's something called as NOC. SOC stands for Security Operations Center. In that SOC, you usually use the SIM tools to monitor the data coming in the network, to analyze that data for threats, and to write rules to prevent any attacks. Okay, so for that you use these tools called Splunk, okay, and SIM tools. Okay. So we'll have a brief idea on how to use those tools as well. Okay, again, coming to the course content, this is the content, guys. I guess the institute might have already shared this with you. If not, you can just drop a hi on my WhatsApp over here. This is the personal number, and I can send you the course content as well. Okay. Secondly, the course duration. This whole course of CES, Certified Ethical Hacking, is for 35 days. We'll have classes from Monday to Friday, every day for 1 hour at 8 p.m. The batch will be starting from Thursday, guys. We'll be taking the first class of networking concepts on Thursday. Okay, so if you want to join, please join by Thursday. Secondly, the course price is at 8,000 rupees, and that includes all the live sessions, all the recordings, all the materials, all the books from EC Council, and the notes for each class. Okay. So every class will be recorded, and this recording will be uploaded to the Google Drive, which you can access whenever you want, just in case if you miss out a session. Okay. If there's a majority of people who are missing out sessions, then we can take backup classes as well on the weekends. Okay. But if there's just 1 or 2 students, they can access the recordings as well whenever they want. The whole course is implemented in a practical way, guys. We'll be using the same practical tools that are used in organizations: Burp Suite, Metasploit Framework, Nestles, Wireshark, Nmap, whatnot. Okay, so it's a 20-40 ratio, you could say. So in the 1 hour, first 15 to 20 minutes, I discuss the theoretical part. The remaining 35 to 40 minutes will discuss the practical part of the course. Okay, so each class and each topic is completely practically implemented. No theoretical nonsense, nothing. Okay, so yeah, a great course for that amount of price. Okay. Now, yeah, we can have a small Q&A session, guys. If anyone has any questions or doubts, you can let me know before I exit the session.
Sir, these sessions for 35 days or for 45 days?
I have a grace period of 10 days, actually, just in case if there's any emergency and if I take a leave. But max to max, if we take class every day, it should be done in 35 days.
Okay, so, and sir, after that, so we can give CH certification for exam.
Definitely. So if you're planning on writing a CH certification exam as well, actually just contact me. I have direct contact with EC Council. Okay, and I have a few coupons as well. I keep getting coupons for discount, and I actually give a pass guarantee proxy service as well. So yeah, again, that's off the record though. But just in case if you're planning on writing certification, I can help you with that as well.
Sir, like for it, how much it costs, sir?
The course is for 8,000 rupees, actually.
No,
Okay.
this is for CS certification, sir. This is 8,000 plus, and that's CS certification.
Certification is around $500 actually, but again that keeps varying from time to time because the US and Indian currency keeps changing. Okay, it's never constant. Okay, but again you could take it around 35 or 36,000 on a rough average. Okay, the certification alone. Any other questions or doubts, guys?
And
Grishma, Rajesh, yeah.
Sir, these practical sessions on some particular website, or you can give like live practical examples on practical websites.
Again, website is only one part of the or a single part of the course, Akshay. Okay, we have website vulnerabilities like SQL injection, cross-site scripting. I'll be showing this on my lab setup as well and on some live websites as well. Okay, but the other things, what we do, we'll be performing them on live systems, on Windows 10 or Windows 7 systems in practical fashions. Okay, so whatever website you're referring to, that is only for web pen testing. So that's only one part of the course. Okay, and that we perform on lab as well as live sessions. I mean live websites.
Yeah, it's like sir VAPT now, sir, from web application, burp, sudo, SQL injection, cross-site, broken authentication.
Right. Okay, we are not covering the whole OWASP. That is a separate course altogether. For bug bounty. Okay, that's a much more advanced course where we'll cover all the different vulnerabilities. Okay, In CEH, we only cover a few of them. We just cover SQL injection, cross-site scripting, broken authentication. That's it, not more than that. File upload vulnerability. Again, burp simple. It does not cover all the OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities. Just a few basic vulnerabilities. CH is a comprehensive course where you have to cover all the endpoints. You have to cover network security, you have to cover system security, you have to cover website security, you have to cover cloud security, you have to cover mobile security. So that is why you'll be learning from basic to intermediate level of all the fields. After CH is done, then you can choose a specialization, whichever you are interested, cloud or mobile or system security, then you can choose a specialization and do advanced courses as well. Okay, but as time progresses. Is that clear, Akshay? Any questions, any further questions or queries?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hi, Shoaib.
Yeah, Grishma, I can hear you.
Yeah. What about the advanced courses that you're dealing with right now? Can you please tell them about that?
Again, at the moment, the two advanced courses that I teach are, one is web application pen testing for bug bounty. Okay, so this is basically just focusing on the website security part. Okay, understanding what all front-end vulnerabilities exist and how to check for the complete security of a website or a web application. Other than this, there's another course called Splunk. Okay, Splunk is a simple to understand the monitoring and analyzing of traffic in an organization and creating alerts for it. Okay, so it's basic, simple. They're used in SOC department, Security Operations Center. So those are the two advanced courses that I teach usually after CH is completed. Okay, and this is the course content for that advanced course, web application pen testing. It covers a framework called OWASP Top 10. OWASP stands for Open Web Application Security Pen Testing. This is an organization which gives the latest vulnerabilities on websites, top 10 vulnerabilities, and from time to time they keep changing, updating. Okay, so then if you cover these top 10 vulnerabilities and if you check out if a web application does not have them, you can declare that a website is quite secure. Okay, so we learn how to check this framework out, how to test for each and every vulnerability in that framework. Okay, does that clarify?
Yeah. Thank you, Shoaib.
Right, guys. Any other questions, guys?
I have a
Kasi,
question from
Rajesh.
Hemant.
Yes, Swati, please go ahead.
So if I want to set up a lab by myself, will that be covered? How to set up a lab, all those things will be covered in the course content, or if you can help for
Definitely,
us.
as I mentioned, you see over here, this is one of the topics. You learn how to install the lab setup and manage all the virtual machines. So in our class, there's one specific class. Oh, 1 second. There's some background disturbance. Can you please mute that mic? Sai Kumar. Okay, phew. Yeah, as I was mentioning, Swati, so we have a topic called virtualization, and in this topic, we'll definitely learn how to set up our own lab. Okay, I will show you how to install this lab setup on your systems. Okay, oh, where's this? Yeah, over here. So I'll show you how to install this VMware application. I'll show you how to install the Kali Linux operating system. Okay, and the other target operating systems as well. We'll do 7 or okay. So we will have a class specifically for the lab setup installation.
Okay, I got
Yes.
it. Thank you.
Right. Any other questions, guys? Sai Kumar, you were about to ask a question. Your mic was unmuted, but there's a lot of background disturbance on your end.
Hello.
Yes, Sai Kumar, I can hear you.
Is that course is enough to get a job, sir, or do we need to take another course?
If you're a complete fresher, Sai Kumar, CH is more than sufficient. But if you come from a different background where you have already a couple of years of experience, and if you don't want to start as a fresher, but if you want to put up a fake and then go with an experienced job role, then I would recommend doing multiple courses, one CH and advanced level course. But if you're a fresher, CH should be more than sufficient to get started. As clear as.
Of course, for freshers, it is okay, right, sir?
Right, for freshers, CH is more than sufficient.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Right, guys. So yeah, that's time, guys. Nothing further for our session. If you have any other technical queries regarding any of these topics, or if you want this course content, please drop a message on this number 76800697768. If you have any queries regarding the course price or the course timings or anything, please contact the Institute DURGASOFT. Okay, and their details are already given to you from where you have received the link for this session. Okay, so yeah, that's that, guys. Nothing further. I'll exit the session and I'll see you soon. Again, a quick reminder, the class will be starting from Thursday. On Thursday, we will be taking the first concept, networking classes. Okay, IP addresses, IPv4, IPv6, DNS protocol, DHCP protocol, all that will be covering in the networking concepts. Please join on Thursday if you're planning to start the course. Okay. Tomorrow and day after, I shall be holding the same demo sessions. Okay. So if you are interested, you can join that. If not, you can directly join on Thursday itself, guys. Okay. So yeah, that's it. It was great interacting with you. Thank you so much for attending the session today and being patient. I hope I didn't bore you out, and yeah, I hope there was no issues on the audio or the video from my end. So yeah, thank you guys. Have a good day, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Bye bye.